So in our last class, okay, now in our last class we talked about quite a number of things. So I said I'm going to explain strings again so that you can understand what strings are. So first of all, strings are what? They are a branch of data types or a branch of that JavaScript that allows you to what? That allows you to represent textual data. You understand? So you want to write any text or you want something to be a textual data. What do you use? You use strings. Now, strings are often enclosed in three major quotations. The first is what? Single quote. Second is what? Double quote. Then the third is your backticks. You understand? So you enclose it in the first one, which is what? The single quote. You also have what? The double quote, and then you have the the backticks. You understand? Those are the three things that I said you use in what? In enclosing your strings. Now, I explained that single quote is not advisable. Why? Because there's sometimes that you probably want to put apostrophes in your code. If you use single quote, someone saying okay. If you use single quote, what happens is that you might not be able to put those apostrophes in your code. You understand? So what you need to do is to what? Use double quotes most of the time. So most of the time you use double quotes for your strings. And in fact, if you check your prettier automatically what? Saves your strings as what? As double quotes. You understand? Now we also have backticks. And I said backticks are they're basically because you also know they're also used for what we know as template literals. But backticks add more functionalities than just your normal single quote. You understand? So for instance, you can wrap up a variable in your backtick. And I think we saw that in our last class, how we can wrap up variables in backtick. So let me just go ahead and show what I'm saying again. So I'm going to clear this out. So let's say you have first name, right? And you want to equal first name to what? 4. What are you going to write? You're going to write what? 4. Okay, there you have what? 4, right? Good. Now, if you want to do the same thing with backticks, you can say let last name, or let's say let full name equals to what? Now, if I use backticks, right, I can put this first name inside of what? The backticks as a variable to call out the variable. You understand? That's basically what backticks is. So with backticks, you can actually have functionalities in your strings. Now, in this place, you cannot have any functionality here. Why? Because you're just trying to declare your string. You understand? But in your backticks, you cannot have like, even if it's just a little bit of functionality by what? Calling other variables in another string. You understand? So right here, I can call this first name with this string, and I can say, okay, my full name is now what? For Levite. I can have what? My $sign, and then curly braces. I can have what? First name, then first name, then what? Levite. Do you understand? Now, if I go ahead and I run my HTML to open up my live server, let's see what we have. So now let me inspect and let's see our console. Okay, we won't see it in our console yet. So I'm going to log into the console. Console.log full name. Now, if you go ahead and check it out, now you should have what? For Levite. Do you understand? Now, that is what. See, are you asking a question? Yes. So that is basically what your console is. So sorry, that is basically what your template literals are or your backticks are. So your backticks is saying that okay, you cannot have more functionality in your what? In your JavaScript. Sorry, in your string, right? And apart from that, you can also have a what? Multi-line string. So what am I saying? Right here now, I can have a string that can come to the next line. Can you see it? I'm having a string now that comes to the next line. So I can also have a real one that says what? Let's say, let's use Check it out now. You also have a for now that is like a multi-line string. You understand? Now let us try the same thing with our normal single double quote, right? This is 4, right? If I bring this down and I write Ifeoluwa right here, as you can see, it's already giving you an error. Why? You cannot have what multi-line string with your normal what double quote. But one thing about what your backticks is that it allows what multi-line arrangement and more functionality to your string. You understand? Now, this is still going to be regarded as a string, just a string that has additional functionality, or probably like you can easily what manipulate that string. But in this case, it is not possible for you to have a multi-line string with your what? With your normal what's the double quote. Now, have you now seen like the importance of multi-line strings now? Do you understand what they are? The backticks, rather. Do you understand your backticks? Is it clear? These are new answers. Is it clear? All right. Okay. Just one person. Is it clear, please? Okay. So that is that about the backticks. So you have, I'm going to do this again in another way so you understand it again. What am I saying? So let's say you have let first number equals to what? 10. So let first number equals to 10 and let full name, say full name equals to 4, right? So let's say you can also have what? Let's resolve equals to what? Let's use a multi-line string now. So we can have a more composed kind of string. We can now say $, then your curly braces, full name, right? Is we can have a first number again, $. Note that before I call any variable, is what? $, and the what? The curly braces to call it. They have what? First number is what? So we can have years. You understand? So if you check it out now, it should have what? So console.log result. So if you check it out now, what do you have? For device is what? 10 years old. You understand? That is basically what your backticks is all about. So if you check it out, I said let results equals to what? Full name, which is what? For Levite is first number is what? 10. You understand? 10 years old. You understand? That is basically what it is. So you're talking about what? Having more functionality to your string. That's basically what backticks are. You understand? And when you talk about template literals, this is a template literals, this particular $. So we'll get there also. But I want you to understand that backticks allows what? More functionality in your string. You have a question? Huh? Okay. So that's basically what your backticks is all about. Now, for me, let me even split my screen. All right, good. So now let us move on to the next one. So we're going to have particular number strings, right? Now, we talked about string properties, right? I talked about string properties in our last class. I said I'm going to leave that for now and talk about something else for now. So we talked about this, and I was expecting everybody to go back over and still try and understand what methods. How many of us still like went on to do something else on JavaScript this Wednesday? Anybody? Nobody. Okay, I have my answer. So let us continue. So booleans in JavaScript. We talked about strings, isn't it? And I said strings are what? Textual data. And how do you enclose your strings? In what? In double quotes, in single quotes, or in backticks? and I explain what backticks are. Now that's basically what strings are. I think I've dwelled a lot on strings. So move into booleans. What are booleans? Now, booleans in JavaScript, the boolean type represents a logical value, true or false. Now, again, I'm going to explain this. Boolean type or Boolean data type represents a logical value. And you only have two logical values. The first is what? True. Second is what? False. Now, Booleans are fundamental for decision making in code. They are used in what? Conditional statements and logical operators. Now, when we get to conditional statements and logical operators, you understand this better. But first of all, you need to understand what Booleans are. Booleans are what? Logical values that has only two logical values, first of all, true or false. Now, let's now say, let me give you a graphical example. Is it graphical? Or let me just give you like an example. So, if you're on Facebook now, if you are logged in, now on Facebook you have a particular functionality, two functionalities. Is that you are logged in or you are logged out, right? If someone asks you, are you logged in? What will you say? If you're on Facebook, if someone asks you, are you logged in currently? What will you say? Yes. But if you're not on the app, if someone asks you, are you logged in? You say no. That no is your what? Your false. The true is what? The yes, that yes, you are logged in on Facebook. Now that is basically what the true and false value of Boolean is talking about. If you want certain things to happen, certain decisions to happen, okay, I want to be logged in. What happens? There is a truth value or truthy value assigned to it. You understand? If you are not logged in, that's what? A falsy value. Now that's basically what Booleans are. So for instance, let is true equals true. This is like a basic expression. Now that is basically what Boolean is all about. Let me give you an example of what I'm trying to say. So I'm going to write something like something we've not talked about, but I'm going to explain it. So I can say let's say a new number equals to what? Let's say 10. Okay, let's say 100, right? And let's say let old num equals to what? 50. Do you understand? Now, if let's go, if new num is less, let's say is less than what? 50, right? What do I want? Console.log what? Console.log. Let's say true. Else console.log false. Now what am I saying? We have what? Let new number equals what? 100 and let old number equals what? 50. Now I'm not saying if the new number right here is less than 50, what's going to print out? True. If it is not, print out what? False. What is it going to print out? Why? Because 100 is actually greater than what? 50. But in my condition, what am I saying? 100 should be what? Less than what? You understand? So the condition is what? False. I'll bet where this following is. So if you have old num rather. If you come here now, what are you gonna have? False. Why? The truthy value has been what? Or the true or false value has been what? Decided that 100 is not what? Less than 50. In the real sense, 100 is what? Greater. So if I now change this lesser than sign to now, less than sign to greater than, what's going to show? It's going to show you what? True. Because in the real sense, 100 is actually greater than what? 50. Now that's what Boolean is all about. Boolean basically determines, okay, is this particular value true or is this particular value what? False. Again, like I said, it is here, they said they are used in what? Conditional statements and logical operations. So we've not done conditional statements here, so don't bother trying to like understand this. Just understand what Boolean does. Boolean defines the what? The true or false value of a particular statement or expression. Is it clear to everybody now? Is it clear? Is it clear? Is it clear? And nobody is answering. Is everybody okay today? Are you sure that this JavaScript is very in our head too much? Mr. Samuel, welcome, sir. Do you understand everything we're talking about? I hope it's not that you tell me you go home again. No. Do you understand it in class? Yes, no, like everything we'll be doing since today, yeah. Yeah? Is it? Okay, that's why I'm asking. Do you understand? Please, I need answers. So I don't just want you to be silent. If you don't understand, please let me know. What don't you understand? Everything. Which one? Explain it anyhow. Those what? Okay, that means this is from yeah, don't have from strings. Okay. Now, do you understand what strings are? What are strings? Hmm? Check. Textual. Yes, textual data, writing text. You understand? This is what writing text. Now, and I told you that how many ways do you use in writing your strings? Your strings are written in what? Eh? No. How do you write your strings? If you want to write strings, now how will you write your string? Just check it. Now, let me just say what's time. Strings are written in quotations, in quotes. In our last class, I explained that you write strings in how many ways? Three ways. First is your single quote. The second is your what? Double quote. Do you remember now? There was the third one. Backticks. You understand? Now, I said the one you will use a lot of times is what? Your double quote. Your double quote and your single quote, they do the same thing. Only that your double quote will do will actually work better for you. You understand? Now, double quote is the one you will use a lot of times. But there's sometimes that you want to add additional functionality, or you want to call variables inside of strings. That's when you use what? Backticks. Now, in this case, first number is what? 10. What data type is this? Yes. Eh? Exactly, number. Now, let full name equals what? For Levites. What data type is it? Is this? Eh? Exactly, string. And why is it a string? It's in double quote. Good. Now, you have what? Let number equals what? 10. And let full name equals what? For Levites. Now, looking at it, you have let result equals what? Now, look at what I used here. What did I use in this place? Eh? No, no, no. Before the dollar sign. Eh? Eh. Let me increase it again. What did I use before the dollar sign here? No, before the equals, after the equals to. There's something here. Where was that? I said the name just now. You write your strings in how many ways again? Three. First, single quote. Second is what? Exactly. So what's that? Backtick. So that's exactly what I'm saying. Now your backtick is also what? A string that allows what? The inclusion of variables in strings. Now, what is the value of this full name? Yeah, the value, like what is it stored under? Look at it again. Just look at it calmly. Read the code from the beginning up onto that place, up onto this place. Exactly. You understand? Because it's a variable. A variable that is storing what? For Levites. Now, I'm not saying what full name is what's first number? Good. Years old. Now, The only way I can do this is if my string is wrapped up in what? Backticks. If you notice, I cannot do it here in double quotes. I can only do it where? In backticks. Do you understand it now? And apart from that, before I can even include this full name, I have to first of all use my dollar sign and wrap it up with what? Curly braces, curly brackets. Do you understand it now? This is how you get your variables in your backticks. Do you understand? Now this is basically what it is. Backticks will allow you what? Have more functionality and even add additional variables in another what? In another string. Is it clear to us now? Any other question? Do you understand Boolean? Just how Boolean is. All right. So Boolean is basically the truth or false value of a particular which one am I increasing? This one. Right, okay. Not sure I can increase it because if I increase it, you won't actually see it better. But I can increase this one. Can you see this one better now? So can you all see it better now? Eh? Can you see it better? What about this? All right, good. Now, when we talk about Boolean, Mr. Samuel, are you here? When we talk about Boolean, Boolean represents a logical value. It's a type or data type that represents what? Logical values. You understand? And you have two major logical values, true or false. You understand? True or false. So we are saying that, okay, what's your name? Say your name is Samuel. Or if I ask you, is your name Samuel? Or you ask me your name. Okay, what's my name? I say, my name is Samuel. Is that the truth or you are lying? That's like a Boolean, what's the name? Data type. Boolean most of the time is used in what? Two major aspects of JavaScript. First is what? Conditional statements. Second is what? Logical operations. The first is conditional. Conditional statement in the sense that, okay, if I ask you, if I tell you that, how do I explain this? So if I say, if we are up to 3 in the class, I'm going to start the class. Else, if we are not up to 3, what happens? The class is not going to start. Now, two things are there, true and false. Now, if we are up to 3 in class, start the class. That means if we are starting the class, what is true? Eh? That means we are up to 3. And if we are not starting the class, what's false? You understand it now? That's basically what it is. That's condition. The condition is that what? We are up to 3. If that condition is true, we will start the class. If that condition is what? False, we will not delay the class. Conditional statement. That's Boolean. So Boolean is saying what? You are trying to check if a particular condition or operation or logical operation is what? True or false. You understand? Then there's also what? Logic attached to it. When we get to logical operators, I'll definitely explain this to us. I hope it's clear to everybody. Is it clear? Is it clear now? Is Boolean clear to you now? All right, so tonight let's go on to the next one. So we have what? Boolean literals. Then we also have what? Truthy and falsy values. Now, so when we talk about truthy and falsy values, we're not exactly talking about values that are true or false. So now let me just read it out to you. Now, in JavaScript, not all values that are used in Boolean context will actually be what? Boolean values or true values. True or false values. Now, what are we saying? Not all values are actually what? True or false values. Some values are truthy, some values are falsy. Now, what do I mean by values that are truthy and falsy? Values that are truthy are values that have tendency to be what? True. So they can be true. There is every chance for them to what? To be a true value. Values that are what? Falsy are values that have a tendency to be what? False. For instance, a negative number or -0 is a what? A falsy value in the sense that it has every tendency to be what? False. Now, JavaScript has the concept of what? Truthy and falsy value. A truthy value is a value that is considered true when encountered in a what? In a Boolean context. So the only time they become what? False, they consider them to be true, is when they what? They are encountered in a particular what? Boolean context. What am I saying? So for instance, you are probably having a condition, right? And in that condition, you mistakenly press, no, let me just show you what I'm trying to say. So this is a condition, right? If statement. So if I say, let A equals to what? 0, right? Let B equals to what? Equals to 1. Equals to 1. So if I say console.log, let's say Boolean, then let's have A. Now, what exactly are we going to have? Let us check it out. False. Why? It is not as if 0 is actually what? False. It is because what? Because it is in a Boolean context. Certain values will what? False. I'm going to explain it again. So if they say, what is Boolean again? What's Boolean again? Eh? Truth or false values of certain statements, right? Now, I'm not saying that in JavaScript, you now have something called truthy and falsy values. Now, those values, in some instances, they are known as what? They are not exactly true or they are not exactly false, right? But when they are used in Boolean context, they cannot be what? True or false. That's what I'm saying. So, for instance, now, 0, having a number of 0 does not mean that the value is false. 0 exists, isn't it? But if you are not trying to use 0 in a particular Boolean context, what is it going to give you? False. So in case, for instance, if I say set user status to 0, what am I saying? User is not active. So you can be online, you can be what? Not online. That's inactive. You can be active, you can be inactive. So if I want to say that you are not active, what can I use? I can say what? 0. So in case user is not logged in, set user status to what? 0. That means what? User is what? False. Do you get it now? Because you're trying to use a particular number or particular values in a Boolean context. They're going to what? They're going to take a particular value. Is that what? Is that going to be what? Truth or false values? Now I'm going to explain this again. When we talk about truthy values, truthy and falsy values, what are we saying? We are saying that those values are not exactly what? True or false. You understand? But when used in a Boolean context, you understand what's going to happen? They are going to be treated as either true or false. That's what I'm talking about. Is it clear to you now? That's basically what truthy values. Now, you say? Because A is used in what? In a Boolean context. This Boolean is like a method to know a particular truthy or falsy value of objects. Of values. You understand? So I wanted to show you that okay, this particular A is what? A false value. Because why? It is 0. Yes, now let us check it out. So if I put B here now, it's not going to be what? True. Because anything minus 0 is what? False. So from 1 upwards is now what? True. Do you get it now? That is basically what truthy and falsy values are. Now, again, we've not gotten to conditional statements or logical operators, so might be a little bit hard for you to understand. But I want you to get the basic context here. What we talk about truthy values, again, you said Boolean are what? True or false values, isn't it? Now, when we talk about truthy or falsy values, we're talking about values that are not exactly true or false. But when you put them in a Boolean context or in Boolean environment, they are going to be either what? True or false. There is no in between. You understand? Now, that's why we're saying that the following values are what? Always falsy. You have what? False value. That's what the false value normally. So you have 0, you have negative 0, you have empty string, you have big int 0, you have what? No, you have undefined, and you have what? Not a number. Now, all of these things are what? Falsy value. Now, anything apart from this is not going to be what? True. Meaning, 1 is true, 2 is true, minus 1 is true. Because why? It is not negative 0. Let me show you what I'm trying to say. So I change B to -1 now, and you check it. What are you going to have? True. You understand? Now, the only false values that we have is what? This. So, false is a false value. 0 is a false value. -0 is a false value. Big int 0 is a false value. Empty string, null, undefined, and what? Not a number. Now, all of these things kind of hard to grasp at the beginning. But leave big int. You don't need to understand what big int is. But I'm very sure that everybody should understand what -0 means. -0 is -0. You know what 0 is. You know what false is. You should know what empty strings are. What are empty strings? You see? Nothing inside, right? There is nothing in the string. We did it in our last class. Okay. Yes. So in Boolean, you have true and false. The way you have true and false, you also have both truthy and falsy values. Now, these are falsy values under Boolean. So it is not as if they are normally false values. No. But under Boolean, you understand, they are falsy values. They are values that will definitely give you like a falsy result or a false result. You understand? That is basically what your Boolean is. So you have what? False, you have 0, you have -0, you have null, you have empty string. Those are strings that don't have anything in it. Then you have what? Undefined, and then you have what? Not a number, which is none. Now, all of these things, you need to know them, apart from the big int 0. You need to understand them because we'll be talking about them later in the course. Now, we also have what? Values that are true. So if you check this out, good. So if you check this out now, you have what? True is a what? A true value. False is a what? A false value. LO is a truthy value. Why? The string is not empty. But if you have empty string, what do you have? False. 1 is a what? True value. 0 is a what? False. Null, false. Undefined, false. None is a what? False. Then you now have what? Empty object and empty arrays. They are what? True. Why? Because they are not in this category. Do you understand it now? That's basically value. In programming, these are it. Like in programming, you have Boolean, right? So Boolean basically talks about true or false value of object. So it's like a general rule in programming. Now, in certain languages, you probably now have different truthy and falsy values. I'm not sure. If Python has its own, C++ has its own, you understand? This is JavaScript. Now, these are the truth and falsy values that I know in JavaScript. That in fact there is in JavaScript. In other languages, you can have probably more. You understand? But you always have truthy and falsy values. All right. So we're going to go into Boolean operators. Now we are moving into logical operators little by little. I'm going to start with what? Boolean operators / logical operators. Boolean / logical operators. Now, before I move into Boolean operators, I'm going to talk about what? Operators. What are operators? So I'm going to come here and I'm going to use this. But before then, let's finish Boolean first. Let's finish Boolean, then we'll move into operators. Now, when we talk about Boolean operators, what are Boolean operators? So let us check it out together. So, Boolean operators are used to what? Combine or modify Boolean expressions. You understand? Now, this is something we're going to talk about later in control flow. That's when we get to logical statement or if statement. So we'll get there. But basically, what we use it to do is what? Combine or modify Boolean expressions. I hope everybody got that. Boolean operators are used to what? Combine or modify Boolean expressions. Now, we have 3 Boolean operators or logical operators. The first is the AND. Second is the or, and the third is the what? The not. Probably heard about it in computer. So you have AND gate, NOR gate, or NOT gate, and NOR gate, right? Or an OR gate, rather. So you also have combination of, yeah, that's in computer science. There's also combination of and or. Is it and? Is it? I've actually forgotten. Is it or and not, or and not? One of them. But you have combinations of everything. You understand? So that's basically what these operators are all about. Now you have three major operators or logical operators. You have what? The first is what? Your AND. Second is your what? Your OR. And then the third is your what? Your NOT. So we have NOT, we have OR, and then we have what? AND. Now it's just like using English, normal English to define it. So if I say I want Mr. Samuel and Mr. Celestine to take the class on the basics of HTML, what do I mean? Both of them have to do it together. I said, listen to the question again. If I said I want Mr. Celestine and Mr. Samuel to take the class on what? The basics of HTML, what am I saying? I want both of them to teach us on HTML. But if I say I want Mr. Dean or Mr. Soe to teach us on what? Basics of CSS, what am I saying? One of you. So you can decide, just choose. Either you or you takes us on what? CSS. Then if I say I don't want anybody, that means what? Nobody is going to take us on class. Now that is basically what your and, or, and not is all about. And is saying that what? Both operands or both statements has to be what? True. Now you see how Boolean actually fits into it. Both statements has to be true. Or is saying that what? At least one has to be true. Why not is saying that what? None has to be true. None should be true. Now let me give a clearer example. I can say, if you understand HTML, right? I want you to start learning JavaScript. Sorry, let's start again. Let me rephrase that. If you understand HTML and CSS, I want you to start learning JavaScript. Mr. Samuel, do you understand HTML and CSS? That means you can what? Learn JavaScript. You understand it now? Now, if you understand JavaScript or Python, I want you to start what? Building web applications, bootstrap web applications. Do you understand JavaScript a little bit? Just assume. Do you understand JavaScript a little bit? That means you can what? You can build. Do you understand? But if I say, if you understand Python or C++, then I want to start building software applications. Do you understand any of them? That means both conditions are what? False. That is basically what your all operator is talking about. No, how do we now combine all of these things? Now let me now show you what I'm saying. So we can say so I'm just going to use that example. X equals to what? 5. And let y equals to what? 10. I'm still going to have to use something else. So 10. So we can now have what? Let result equals to be, okay, let's do this. Let's say console log x is what? So x is what? Greater than what? 10. And what? Let's say, and y is, x is less than 10 and y is what? Greater than 5. Now, what would this print out? Now, x is what? Can we look at it? X is what? 5. Y is what? Then I said console log x is what? Less than 10. That means what? 5 is less than 10. Is that true? And y is greater than what? 5. Is y greater than 5? So what would this print out? Okay, good. So let's say 50. What would this print out? Y. One of them is true now. What's it going to print out? Who wants to try? Have you checked the operator? What is the operator? You say, what is it? What is AND operator? Operator. What will AND operator do? Both of them has to be what? Good. Now, I now said console.log x is what? Less than 50 and y is greater than 50. What's the value of y? Sorry, x is less than 10. That's true, right? And y is greater than 50. What is the value of y? Is 10 greater than 50? That is what? What is AND again? No. Let me explain it now. Understand it first. I said, what is AND again? AND says that both conditions or all the conditions has to be what? True. They have to be correct. Good. Now, I now said x is less than 10. Is x less than 10? What's the value of x? 5. What is 10? What is y? 10, right? So if I say x is less than 10, that means what? 5 is less than 10, which is true. And y is now what? Greater than 50. What's the value of y? It's 10 greater than 50. That means both of them are not true. Meaning what? It is now going to be what? False. It will not be what's true. Why? Because all is saying that what? Just one of them has to be true. You understand? Just one of them has to be true. But AND is saying that both has to be true. Or is saying that one has to be true. That means even if you have multiple listed, as long as one of them is true, all is going to print true. But if both of them are what? True, then AND is going to be what? Print true. But if none of them are true, what? It's going to be what? False. For AND, everything has to be true. Every of the listing has to be true. Yeah. So if you have and here, right? Now, one thing about logical is that it can only pick two at once, right? So that means if I want to bring this one right now, you have to use another word, operator. So I have to say what? And again. You understand? I cannot say and z. And z is greater than what? Okay, let's say and 10. Let me have z here. Let z equals to what? 10. So and z equals what? Y. We'll get there. So when we have what? When we have console, like now this is what? Why this do false? Because z. Are you sure? What's the value of z? Value of y is what? Yeah. Please, I can't reach it. It's on. You were answering a question. You're giving an answer. What was that? No, that's it. No. Don't worry. Thank you. Yeah, you were saying something. Exactly. The y is not greater than 50. Just waiting for this to come on. Okay, now that is exactly the reason why it's not going to work. That's why it's going to be false. Because the y is not. So now if I go ahead and I change the greater than, if I change it to 5 instead of 50 now, it's not going to what? Print out true. Is that what, yes, it's not going to print out true. Ah. Just stick on me. think it's a little bit blurry. How about now? What's on white? You said? What went, it went up? Yes, because I. No, don't worry. Is it like, was it like this before?
No, no.
Okay, just shift it back. Shift it back, don't worry. Shift it back. That place only controls. Don't it only controls how clear it is. That's why I said shift it back. It's going to get bigger. Back. Just shift it back, sorry. Back. It got bigger, Abby. Just is it bigger now? Eh? All right. So let us continue. All right. So now, as I was saying, I said we have x equals y equals 10. Now, I have to add another word. And now this just shows that you can have more than two or more than one logical operator in a particular expression. This is one expression, right? How many logical operators do we have here now? And we have two. This is the first, and this is the second, right? I can also still have another one that says what? That change. I can just have another one that says. So let's say, or z is what? Less than or greater than what? X. Now, is this correct? Is z greater than x? Yes. Is z greater than x? Eh? Good. Now, if you check that, it's going to give you what? True. But I want to also ask one more question. I'm coming. Let me ask this question now. So now, if I change this right here to 50, what are you going to get? Why is it true?
Because everything here has to be, everything here has to be. Why here just has to be? Yeah. So because there is either there, over there. Yeah. All the arms just have just one, it's not placed. So all the arms.
I get your point, actually.
Why all the add something like that? If what's
Okay.
or this one, anyone. So since this all now is saying if the other x is there, you keep this to the two because this all goes that either is that or after.
Okay, another person. Nice explanation. But I'm not saying it's correct, and I'm not saying you're wrong. Anybody? What is it going to print out? True or false? True. Okay, so people said true just now. Who said true? Who else said true? Three people. Who said true again? Four. Mr. Samuel. True or false? Eh? Okay. True. Mr. Ebenezer. True or false? True or false? You can be the odd one out. You said one. No, you have to say one. Look at it. I want everybody to actually have an idea of this. What do you think it is? True. Okay. Everybody said true. Mr. Celestine, why did you say true? I like that. Miss Joy. Why you say true? Hmm. But we also have AND gates now. Why is everybody ignoring and focusing on this? Why? Doesn't matter again. It's a SOM. Why did you say true? Mr. Wizard, why did you say true? Oh God. All right. So let me just say what's the time. The answer is true. So everybody got it. So I'm very, very happy that nobody tried to change their mind again. Now, one thing is that we check this out. What I was trying to explain is that every single expression here is one. And every single expression here is what? Is also one. Meaning you have two expressions. Now, in this one expression, you now also have what? You have three expressions. 1, 2, and what? 3. Now, if you now check these three expressions together, one, they are going to give you what? False. Why? Because y is not greater than 50. But if you change this expression, z is what? Greater than x. Is that true? Yes. And what is the OR gate saying? OR gate is saying that one has to be true. Since this one is true and this one is false, what will it give you? True. Now let's check it out together and let's see what it gives us. So it gives us true. So I'm happy that nobody changed their mind. Well, that's nice. So this is basically what your logical operators is all about. Comparing values. Okay, is this value going to be true? Is this value going to be false? Is this value going to print out something that I want? You understand? That is basically what your logical operator. Now, this is just like the beginning of logical operators. We'll definitely still do more when we get to logical operators. But you will combine your logical operators and your conditional statements a lot of times. So something that we'll be talking about very soon. Now, let us have one more thing. So let's, if you change this to what? Z is not equals to what? X. What's going to give you? Why is it giving us true? Why is it giving us true? Both of them are not false.
No, I mean this part.
One of them is actually true.
This part. X.
You understand? No. Z is not equals to X. Oh, I thought you were talking about, you don't understand. This is true. This particular statement here is true.
No, like it's true, but what is still like it's not true.
Okay, this place is not true.
Yes.
Yeah, but this place is true. You understand what I'm trying to say now? I need to get it. I said Z now. What the reason I'm using not is because not will confuse you. Not is like you would think not is supposed to print out false value normally. But sometimes not to confuse you and the value is actually what? True. Now I said Z is not equals to X. What is the value of X? What's the value of Z? Is X equals to Z like that? You understand? That means it is what? True. It's not picking the all. You get it now. So if both of them are now what? False, what will it give to you? False. So if I now say, if I change to what? Z equals to what? X. What will give to me? It will give me what? False. Sorry, that's wrong. Z is equals what? X. So if you check it out now, it should give you what? False. Do you understand it now? We'll get there. we'll get to that particular equal to whereby we have two equal to. So I'll explain that also. Now that exactly is what we mean by what? Operators, your logical operators. So do you understand? Is it clear to everybody now? Mr. Ebenezer, Mr. Samuel, Mr. Celestine. Is it clear? Mr. Wizard, is it clear? All right. So let us move on to the next aspect of this course. So basically, we've been able to, we talked about string manipulation, right? We talked about finding the length of the string. We also talked about substrings, isn't it? In our last class, we talked about converting the entire string to what? Uppercase, isn't it? Then we talked about truthy and falsy evaluation, right? Talking about truthy and falsy values. And then we also talked about what? Okay, we didn't talk about this. Yeah, we did. Combining data types, yes. Yes, also we actually did this. So now, I want to test your knowledge. So let us try some of their quizzes. So what data type is used? What data type is used to represent numerical values in JavaScript? Integer or number? Let me stop recording. I don't want to show your results online.
Wait.